That's what I had on my mind. But I know we've been talking a little bit of wrestling and comparing it to baseball. I know, um, we, I know with wrestling, we tell y'all don't gamble on wrestling, y'all. Don't do it. Don't put no money. Don't put no wagers on on wrestling. And though we know that this World Series was one where, like, fair and square, we know that there have been some gambling controversies in baseball as well. If you go all the way back to 1919 with the uh, the famous Black Sox, the Chicago Black Sox of that team, and Shoeless Joe,
Say it ain't so,
Shoeless,
Joe. Say it ain't
yeah,
so. It ain't so,
and then
kid.
yeah,
Even though it
and then you
is.
fast, you know, and then you fast forward to the now Hall of Famer Pete Rose,
Mm.
who got banned for life for betting when he was a manager. And then even fast forward to the beginning of this season, where we thought when we're talking about the Dodgers, hey Shohei,
Mm.
you got something to hide, brother. And then all of a
That's the
sudden we
MVP
figure
of the
out
season, Ray. Shohei Otani's interpreter, because my boy took the fall so that the Dodgers could rise.
exactly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So again, we know baseball has been through their fair share of gambling scandals, and I guess the NBA is no different. We had it a couple years ago with John Tate Porter, but now it's taking
Mm.
a big piece of the media landscape now with two different gambling scandals, one involving uh, current NBA head coach and Detroit uh, Detroit Pistons legend. And shout out, I believe, Charles Durham in the Instagram. He's from Detroit. He's been rooting. He's been rooting in the chat over in the IG Live for Detroit teams. So he's well aware of Chauncey Billups and what he can do. But Chauncey Billups getting caught up in a gambling scandal that possibly, allegedly involves the mob and rigging
Mm.
poker games. Then we have um, Scary Terry Rozier from the Miami Heat getting caught up in possible inside trading. Again, allegedly, possible inside trading as far as telling when he is going to possibly be hurt and then giving other gamblers an opportunity to bet the under on him in games that he plays. And then former Cleveland Cavalier and former coach um, Damon Jones getting caught up in both of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
so brother Nate, I'll let you take it. What do you think? And let's not forget to mention uh, the FBI who
Mm.
want to get out ahead of this and show their muscle with FBI Director Kash Patel having his own personal press conference on the day of the arrests and puffing his chest out. So, brother Nate, what do you think of this scandal? Do you think that there's more that lies ahead as far as the investigations that are that led up to these arrests? Do you think that there's more trouble a brewing?
So, first of all, Cash Patel Records taking over for the 99 and 2000s. Worst record label ever. Second thing, this is the kind of story that this show was made for, fellas, because we talking sports, we talking politics, we talking tuckery, as you would say, Ray Williams. It's all wrapped into one. And normally when we talk NBA, I'd get you to play the round ball rock, Ray, but this don't feel like a round ball rock type of conversation unless you got like the slow down AI version of round ball rock, where it's a little bit more somber.
You got to play the Dragnet theme for this.
Play the round ball rock with police sirens in the background, like King Mabel's old theme on WWF.
Yeah.
but here's the thing about this scandal. So you're right, Ray. There are two separate things going on. So I know some folks are trying to conflate them, but there are two separate operations here. You've got Operation Royal Flush, which is the one that is following what's going on with Chauncey Billups and these high stakes poker games and La Cosa Nostra being involved. And then you've got Operation Nothing But Bet, which again, government agencies and they stupid ass puns. That's another conversation for another day. But Operation Nothing But Bet is the one that's following Scary Terry Rozier and these kind of insider trading and giving people insider tips in terms of when he's going to be available to play and things of that nature. So my first thought when I heard this, Chris, about a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago now, is like, damn, did nobody learn anything from the Jontay Porter situation? Because we talked about that when it happened a few years ago. And so it's like, I think there's a couple levels to this because you've got the individual responsibility of Chauncey and of Terry Rozier and of Damon Jones and what role they played in all of this. Then you've also got the legal side and the federal side, which is a little bit more complicated now than it would have been under the Biden administration, Chris, because we know that this agency now has ulterior motives in a way that maybe they didn't quite before. Right. Even though I ain't never trust the FBI, but I trust the FBI even less now, Chris. But I think when you look at this, there's a couple things. Like Chauncey, it's not a good look. He was doing some good things in Portland. I thought Chauncey Billups was the right person to appoint to that position to turn things around for the Blazers, but I don't know how he got into this, and that's the question. The how and the why, Jay, that I keep coming back to, because is this strictly a money thing? Is this, when you got these alleged mafia ties, is there something where Chauncey or somebody that in Chauncey's family or in Chauncey's group is being threatened? And Chauncey had to do this. The only thing I'm sure of is that Chauncey Billups wasn't a damn mastermind. Like Chauncey Billups wasn't putting no meta glasses on and putting chips in the cards. Like Chauncey, he didn't have time to do that. He's coaching a basketball team. But then you've got the Terry Rozier portion of it, and I'm like, that to me is the easier one, where it's like, Terry, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, I know gambling money has infused all of professional sports, and that's a conversation that nobody really wants to talk about because it's different than it was in Pete Rose's day. It's even more different than it was in Michael Jordan's day when Michael Jordan had those allegations of gambling around him. But I think it's just a bad look for all involved, Chris. And I do feel like, even though like there should be some accountability here, I do feel like the federal government is weaponizing their authority here. When you got Terry Rozier in the shackle, like they walking his brother out like he Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. Like he killed people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I get it. He did a bad thing allegedly, but come on, man. Now you're going too far.
Yeah, they're putting some extras on it. Here's the thing. I want to do a couple rumor killers. Just ones more specifically. Okay. This started under Joe Biden's FBI. I don't think a lot of people know that. This isn't something Kash Patel didn't mastermind this shit. This was under the old FBI director with Joe Biden. This was 2 years in the making. And that's the thing about these kind of organizations. They do not move fast. They move slow. They move slow enough to where you think you're you're doing more stuff on top of the stuff they're initially charging you with, and you're just adding on top of it. And that's what sucks about this whole gambling thing. And like you were saying, Nate, it's a different landscape because now the sports agencies are in business with like DraftKings and all that other shit. Man, I remember we had a conversation a long time ago, and I said the one sponsorship I'd be wary to have as a sponsor are the betting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know how seeded that stuff is. I know how people are with gambling. I had gambling addicts in my family. And the problem with gambling is it's almost an addiction. None of these people need the money, They've got Chauncey Billups. If he did his money, if he did good with his money, he's set for life. So why are you getting in stuff like this? That's the question you have to ask for all of these individuals, right? And it's even so. And the way the betting is now is like, I remember listening to an interview, wasn't that long ago, where basketball players saying when they're walking out of the games, people are like, instead of like shaking their hands and stuff, this is at home games. They're like, man, I'm mad at you. You should have scored 6 points. Because people are betting on the points exactly. They're betting on the quarter you might get injured in very, very precisely. And it's not just gambling they bet on. It's not just like sports they bet on. They're betting on politics, They're betting on who's gonna win by how much and all that stuff. And betting on professional wrestling is just fun.
Don't do it, folks. Don't do it.
I don't understand why you would do that. I mean, because it's like, and that's an easy thing to kind of like set up, because like, if you're a booker, if you're booking this shit, all you got to do is place a bet on, it's too stupid to make a bet on, right? I never understood the DraftKings with AEW and WWE.
Yeah.
But, like this basketball thing, it's kind of heartbreaking too, because I think this does tarnish the legacy of Chauncey Billups. I don't know if he's going to be welcomed in those NBA circles anymore the way he used to be. I do think his career is finished. I hope, we get more. I hope there's something that exonerates him, but it's just not looking like that. Not for any of those guys.
No.
It just looks bad, and I think I don't think I think the Cash Patel people, they're just adding theatrics on top of it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pause right here for a second, Chris, because I want to come back. This is where I wanted to come back to with you, because this is your arena, the political space. And so, yes, this investigation, as you stated, started under the Biden administration. But this, to me, feels like a case where something that may have been started for a good reason. Like, we need to see what's going on with these gambling rings. We need to see, are they doing harm to not only the people that are betting, but to the players? Because the player can easily, as you said, Chris, get caught up in this. But now to where you've got Cash Patel out here puffing his chest, and where you've got Congress, who can't even end this damn government shutdown, calling Adam Silver to come testify in front of Congress. It's like, come on, man. Where do you feel like the politics of it all kind of fits into the story?
It's hard to say right now, because I have to kind of see how all this plays out. I know that the FBI, they're a joke organization right now just because of who the head of it is. So I don't know what kind of like what kind of stuff they're gonna try to stick Chauncey with, or any of those other guys with. It's really just hard to say. If there's any there, and they get stuck with some like hardcore charges in this administration, Trump is going to try to see what he can get out of them. It's just that simple. It's like, you are going to have to, if you want guaranteed freedom, you're gonna have to get in bed with that shit. And I hope it doesn't come to that. But these are Fed charges. These are not gonna be like once you get the FBI in it, it's not the PD anymore. It's the Feds, and when the Feds are involved, and I guess again, Trump is a guy who has shown time and time again that he will take bribes and money from people to get for freedom and stuff. Trump is not an honorable man. The FBI has never been an honorable agency, but what I'd say about the FBI, because it's one of those things where there's a bunch of different stories you can tell about the FBI, and all of them could be true at the same time. Are they an evil organization? Yes. But are they a strategic organization? Yes. Are they if they have a case against you, is it likely that you did it? Yes, but there have been cases where they've trumped things up, and added extras on it. So it's just one of those things, and I just don't think these guys walk out of this unscathed. I don't. And Trump is going to probably want to make them dance. That's kind of like his thing. This is the price you pay for stuff like this, man. On the one hand, you can be like, yeah, at least Trump is president, so he will do some dirty dealings. But on the second hand, you don't know the kind of shit these people are going to want you to do. So just saying it like that.
So to paraphrase Chris, paraphrasing Flavor Flav, Jay, get up, get down. FBI is a joke in your town, brother. Because this is crazy, because you got the political aspect of it. You got, obviously the pro sports aspect of it. But then the other party that is mentioned several times in this story, Jay, La Cosa Nostra, the mob, the mafia. And so when Chris says this may be a situation where Chauncey can't get out of unscathed, it goes both ways. Like Chauncey, I know you're watching, brother. I know you're one of our subscribers, because we are on the drive to 500. But Chauncey, don't flip on the mob, brother. Don't flip. Whatever you do, Chauncey, don't flip on the family. So, Jay, what do you make of this situation, man? Because there's a lot of different tentacles kind of coming out of this story.
Yeah, I think the first thing I thought of is going to Terry Rozier. I know he had to be doing something allegedly. I follow basketball, and I play fantasy basketball going back several years, and you've seen that guy's production almost coincidentally fall off. And it was almost like, what is going on with this dude? Fast forward to see that he's caught up in this tuckery. It's not surprising. It's not really surprising. It's like, man, and now going to this whole political scheme. One of the notes I was taking was like, it feels like they paraded these players, these coaches, and they're trying to send a message, and it almost seems like it's a distraction. I don't know from what, but this is a distraction from the Alphabet Boys, and I don't want no smoke with them. But it does seem a little bit odd that only those NBA players are the pictures that we're seeing that are being fronted on this. When you said that there's other people involved in the mob or the mafia, whoever, we haven't seen not one other person. And not like I would be able to recognize such person if given the fact, but fool me. AI generate somebody for me. Put an avatar of somebody up there, not just these brothers. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's a veiled threat. It's a distraction. Haven't figured out for what yet, but I mean, give it time. This administration will show us exactly what they're doing in due time.
Yeah.
Ray.
They always do.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just saying because they always do. Yeah, I mean that's just what you get from this administration, you know.
Yeah, and distraction is a good word because they're distracting folks from the government shutdown. They're distracting folks from the fact that SNAP benefits are being messed with. They're distracting folks from the fact that the economy is what it is. They're distracting folks from the fact that we got elections in several states tomorrow. They're distracting folks from asking about that one particular file that you still ain't released, Mr. President.
Right.
I was asked about the Epstein files today when I was doing my interview, and people were asked. I was asked essentially if I think there's anything in the Epstein files, and I can't emphatically say I don't think it's going to amount to anything. Here's the thing. It's like the thing that these idiots like MAGA Mike Johnson and all these other people are saying is like, well, Bill Clinton is all up and down these files and Trump isn't. He's got the biggest connection to Epstein Island. And you would think that if Bill Clinton was the only person in these files or the most prominent person in these files, wouldn't these idiots want to stick it to him? You know, if he's in these files, and the fact that they're not releasing them is a very big telltale sign. So I definitely think there might be some shit in this, you know. I wouldn't get overly excited about it, but I wouldn't necessarily be like, yeah, it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. Because if it was a nothing burger, then they would have released them by now. It's really that. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out.
And the other thing is, even if there is something credible that implicates Trump in this, it may change a few minds, Chris, that aren't already made up about Donald Trump. But for the most part, we've seen this man can do no wrong in the eyes of those that follow him.
Yeah, but this is the one, though. This is the one.
You think this will be the one?
This will change more minds than anything else because you have to understand the psychology behind this stuff. The people that were latched onto these Epstein files are all the people that believe in Pizzagate. They were all the people that believed there was this crazy child porn ring that Hollywood celebrities that were attached to, and you know, Trump is going to get in office and he's going to expose these people. Then when he gets in office, he says the Epstein files aren't a big deal. So what happens after that is on his Truth Social platform, he starts getting ratioed. What it means to get ratioed is where the comments of people hating you start outnumbering all the likes. This happened a few times, and you already had people like Nick Fuentes, who's actually to the right of Charlie Kirk. And you had people that are just kind of really, really out there saying that why is the Epstein files not being released? There's at least four Republican Congress people that want the files released. There is a couple senators that want the files released that are Republicans.
And
you got Marjorie Taylor
out on these streets.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of people in the there. They wanted this to go. This is where all these distractions come from, and it hasn't worked. That's the thing. This is. I compared it to. I wrote an article on this a while ago that Donald Trump is becoming Tyler Durden. And what I meant by that is in the movie Fight Club, the narrator, he told his people what to do already as Tyler Durden before the narrator could catch up to the lie,
Mm-hmm.
It was like, or could catch up to what was being said. It's like when it was they take him to the place, and he's like, the cops are like, oh, that was awesome, Tyler. And then you told us if anybody ever revealed this, even you, to cut your nuts off. Cut his nuts off. And they're like, and then he tries to tell him not. He said, you told us you'd say that, It's like Trump has done this. This is what he created. He told these people these Epstein files are serious and there's something real. This is what all these manosphere people voted for. And that's why you see these kind of rips in the fraction. So again, I wouldn't just say it's nothing. I wouldn't get overly excited, but this is the one thing that seems to have wakened these people up, unlike any other thing. And I follow this story every week, and it hasn't died down. It hasn't since he's the minute Trump said the files are not important. These people want to know what's in those files.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Ray? When it comes to this, like the government's involvement in this case, the Chauncey Billups of it all, the mafia of it all, and like Jay said, like they're not parading Bugsy Malone out here on these streets. Like, man, I did it, see? Right. I told Chauncey, cut the card, see? Like they're not parading him on TV. But what have you made of all of this the last couple of weeks?
Well, like you brothers mentioned, it's kind of, and I understand it. I understand what you're talking about, Chris, as far as this investigation being started under the Biden administration. But it's kind of odd that now it pops up. They want to have all of this stuff come out literally in the beginning of the season for the NBA. And it's like with all these, again, it's just seen as, like you mentioned, Nate, a bunch of distractions from things that are pretty much like literally impacting folks all over the world, or all over this country, I should say. And you're trying to kind of distract us with something that's, I mean, in the
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
In the large scheme of things, doesn't really mean that much. I mean, I know that there are people that are mentioning that, oh, well, if it comes out that it's even bigger as far as with the particular scandal that Rozier is under, if it becomes, because we already know not only did Jonte Porter get kind of caught up, but Malik Beasley kind of got caught up with something separate. And to his credit and his attorney's credit, they like Charlie, they like what's my man's name? Dave Chappelle. I plead the fifth. I ain't had nothing to do with it. Don't say I didn't. I ain't turn on nobody. I have nothing to do with none of these other scandals that's coming out. What I did was on me. And so but even with that, it's like we had stuff come out with Malik Beasley where he got caught up with possible insider trading, and it was kind of revealed that he owed a bunch of people in his personal life, like his doggone dentist and his barber, and he owed back pay to his landlord, and so it was crazy, the stuff that Beasley was getting accused of. And so now it's kind of trickling down with more information on these particular two cases. And again, if this particular case with Rozier digs up even deeper, then that can kind of unravel the trust that fans have in it. And I believe people are mentioning on podcasts that could lead to taxpayers. That could lead to taxpayers kind of wanting to sue the franchises if they know that like their players are actually pretty much rigging games.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we're paying, like, you have us, like the owners have the tax subsidies or getting tax breaks from taxpayers and from the cities that they're playing in, that they represent. And so I could see something getting caught up with that in like a class action suit. But other than that, again, it's not really affecting a bunch that's going on within the day-to-day person's life within the United States. And so, and it's kind of, again, it's kind of interesting. Not only is it happening, but within like the beginning, the start of the NBA season, but also look at what league we're talking about here, guys, with like 80 to 90% African Americans. Like there could have been other leagues. Like it was just kind of like intimated within the UFC this past weekend. There was a fight. Let me go to it. There was a fight on the UFC Fight Night card this past weekend. Isaac Dolgarian versus Yadir Del Valle. So there was a fight between these two men. Dolgarian was pretty much favored, and he was undefeated. He's like a prospect. But at the night before the fight happened, all of these gambling books and sports books started getting a lot of information that was like taking down. He was the favorite by like 400, but then it started taking down him and started putting more money. They started to see more money go to the other guy. And so the odds kind of started trickling away from him. And then especially with the prop bets of him losing in the first round, those started going like, it was like, I want to say from plus 800 to plus 400 because so many people were betting on him to lose. And sure enough, like he had a bunch of takedowns in the beginning part of the first round, but then all of a sudden he just gets reversed, and then like he's belly down, and it doesn't look like he doesn't even look as if he's trying to defend the chokes or the punches that are raining down from Del Valle. And then Del Valle ends up sinking in a rear naked choke, and he fights for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds or so until he taps out. And so there was like a lot of suspicion around that, plus add the fact that Dolgarian, his former coach, was James Krause, who kind of went out in disgrace a few years ago when he got caught up in a betting and gambling scandal that involved players or involved fighters who were possibly like giving insider information about them having injuries. And so his former coach got caught up in that. So now that kind of trickled down on Dolgarian. So, but we know with the USC, we know who's at the top of the USC, and we know with that person at the top of the UFC, ain't no way the UFC getting investigated.
Right.
Well,
they're gonna look under the covers real quick. Are you good? Okay. And then patch and tuck you in the bed and be like, yeah, there's nothing here, nothing to see here, folks.
Well, here's the thing with that too, and I actually see what you're saying, Ray. They're gonna have a hard time doing that if they're, because I could see something like that. I think that could be these NBA guys saving grace. You know, if some of these people start snitching and it gets back to the UFC. Why am I looking like this? What the hell?
Like a very scenic shot.
Well, if some of these things are like kind of if people start snitching and word gets out that these UFC guys are involved, they're gonna have to do something. They can try to like pretend it's not there, and they will, but I mean, it's gonna be a hard thing to do, you know, because the thing is, and here's another thing too. If the FBI doesn't do its job, depending on the state these people live in, the state might do their job, you know. So it's not something that if you're in the UFC and involved in this shit, you're just gonna walk away scot-free. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to stay tuned to this story because this is still a developing story. We're not going to go away from it. So we'll pick this up in another couple of weeks, see where we're at, because not only does this affect, as Ray and Chris just said, like what's going on with the NBA players, but it could have an effect on all of sports, given the way that gambling is now something that is not only accepted and tolerated, Jay, but celebrated by these leagues. And so now we're having to look at things more closely than we ever did. But with that being said, what if I gave you, and I do hear a little bit of the echo there, Cash, if you listening, man, ain't nobody talking to you, Cash Patel. We ain't got no insider information. Ray cut Cash Patel off.